This was absolutely the best episode in all of Game of Thrones 8 seasons. Oh my god, ladies and gentlemen, what's up? Welcome to the Kaged Review. My name is Kevin Jackwitz. This is a review for Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 3. And we knew it was coming. We knew this was coming. And this was the ultimate payoff. It really was. This was amazing. So ladies and gentlemen, I really don't even know how to review this because the whole episode is the war. It's the Great War. It is the war between everybody in the North and some select few others and the dead. And it was remarkable. It was literally an entire episode of a war. Like, that's all this episode was. The battle starts out, literally everybody in Winterfell is lined up either on the wall or outside. The dead are coming. The first thing you see, Melisandre, of all people, shows up in Winterfell. She grabs a rock, the curved blade that the Dothraki use, and lights it on fire, and then they all light on fire, and it was a very cool visual. And so you see the Dothraki charge into the woods, flaming arcs in hand, and they get freaked out. You start seeing all the fires going out. And so automatically you know that a lot of the Dothraki are getting really messed up. Dany sees this, and of course, those are her soldiers. She wants to go protect him. She grabs a dragon. They're off. The war ensues. The dead come into Winterfell, and it is on. For an hour and a half, it is on. And I'll tell you how suspenseful this is. So I'm sitting in between two people, and I was kind of resting like this for a while, and then the battle started, and like 50-some minutes later, I realize I'm still like this, and this arm is like completely numb when I bring it down. Like, that's how intense and how far into this show I got. What more needs to be said than that, man? I mean, I was just literally frozen looking at the chaos. And you had, I mean, this was a war that was all about moments and, focusing on certain people. One of the big moments in here is Arya. She has a really extended fight scene that starts kind of on the wall of Winterfell itself and eventually works its way down into like the catacombs and the library and stuff like that. And she has to play cloak and dagger a lot with these walkers. And so that was kind of cool. But inevitably, you knew you were going to lose people. And that's part of the suspense of this is like, nobody's off limits at this point. Nobody. Jon's not off limits. Dany's not off limits. Nobody is off limits. Jaime, Brienne, and actually right as the war really was brought to the inside of Winterfell, you instantly saw Brienne get smothered by walkers and you thought, damn, she's dead already. And it didn't turn out to be the case. Jaime came to her rescue, but you were like, oh, damn. So there's a lot of really, really cool elements to this. Bran is in the Godswood. He's being used as a live bait because he knows the Night King wants him dead. And he has Theon and the Ironborn protecting him. And so that's really where this heads. You have the dead, they're fighting all the soldiers in Winterfell, but the Night King is going straight for Bran. And that's like the very short, collapsed version of what's going on in this episode. In order to get to Bran, there are a couple of very cool dragon fights where you have both of the live dragons with Dany and Jon riding them, fighting the dead dragon that the Night King is on in midair, and there was some really cool sequences. I forget, I think it's Viserys is the dragon that Jon rides, and he got scratched up pretty good. But then again, so did the Night King's dragon. They got in a fight and kind of tore each other apart really good. So Viserys, he kind of drops Jon, walks off. You don't really even see him again after that. But the Night King dragon winds up in Winterfell and actually blocking Jon so he can't go anywhere. So he's kind of stuck in this little area. There's so much to happen and so much to take in. I guess I'll start with the deaths from here. You have major deaths in this one. And you start out with a couple of deaths that I wouldn't call major, but still had an impact. Mullet from the Night's Watch, he dies first. And then they had a really cool way of sending off Lady Mormont. She's outside of Winterfell fighting just like everybody else, and of course she's this, fairly petite girl. And a giant comes and just swats her and doesn't kill her right away. So she's messed up, she's rocking back and forth, she screams and charges this giant who picks her up and just crushes her with her hand. And as she's dying, she sticks a piece of dragon glass in his eye and kills the giant. So that was kind of cool, warrior's death for her. I think the next big death was Beric Dondarrion. The Hound and Beric are fighting to save Arya. And so Arya's kind of being chased by a bunch of walkers, and they kind of get trapped and they pull her down the hallway as fast as they can. And unfortunately, Beric gets caught and gets stabbed like a bunch of times. And so his mission that Melisandre was talking about was to save Arya. So he saves Arya, he dies doing it. The next big death is Theon. Theon is defending Bran, and of course, you got a bunch of walkers coming at him, and all his Ironborn are dead, and he's fighting his heart out. And finally, the Night King shows up in the Godswood. Theon already knows he's dead. Bran says thank you to him. He likes the man he's become, which is a cool moment. And then Theon, he knows he's going to die. He charges the Night King. Of course, that doesn't go anywhere. And he gets stabbed with his own spear. Jorah Mormont. He's there with Khaleesi. Khaleesi, she burns up a bunch of walkers that were going to kill Jon. And she got surrounded by walkers, and Jorah fights his way through and brings her out of it. And as he's fighting all these walkers for Khaleesi, defending her, he gets stabbed a bunch of times too. And so Jorah bites the big one. So you've got all these deaths. And I'll give you Melisandre's first, because Melisandre, she was the one that kind of orchestrated what was supposed to happen as far as people saving certain people so they could do certain things. And at the end of this episode, her mission in life was done. She took off her collar. If you've seen other episodes, she's an older woman, like a much, much older woman. And so she just walks out and dies. So you've got Mullet, Lady Mormont, Jorah Mormont, Theon, Beric Dondarrion, and number 7, the Night King himself. It was funny because people have been having this debate about what's really going to happen. A lot of people thought that the Night King was going to go to King's Landing. I called it. I was like, they're going to end the Night King storyline this episode because they need to carry on the rest of the storyline for the next... They only have 3 episodes to wrap up a lot of stuff. And they still have to have the war with King's Landing. So I called it early that this was going to be the episode that ended the Night King storyline. And sure enough, Theon is dead. The Night King is right there in front of Bran. And out of nowhere, Arya jumps up and goes to stab the Night King. He catches her by the throat. And you're like, me instantly, because you just don't know, I'm like, oh shit, she's dead. They're going to kill Arya right here. And she drops her Valyrian steel blade, like she did with Brienne and stabs the Night King with the lance, done. He falls apart, all the walkers die, the big ice dragon dies, it's all done. So, I called it early. I knew that this was going to be the episode one way or another that ended it, and I wasn't sure that they were going to kill the Night King. But I believed that that was what was going to happen. I believed they were going to kill the Night King, move on, deal with King's Landing, and that's exactly what happened. So I couldn't be happier about that. It was a very, very cool episode. The suspense was just non-stop. The music fit the situation perfectly. It made you uneasy. It was quick tempo to really set a tension there. And some of these shots were just amazing in this. Like, I'm not big on cinematography, you know, like when I do reviews of movies and film, TV shows or whatever. But the cinematography in some of these shots were just beautiful. Really was amazing. The sound editing, you know, again, I'm not the biggest when it comes to that, but it was so good. Like, when it's top tier, you just know. When it's really amazing, incredibly professional work, you just know. And that's what this was. Everything looked, sounded amazing, created a feel. And, you know, because honestly, even if it's like just the actors, very rarely is that enough to set the tone. You have to have some really dynamic performances for that. So these guys created an amazing, suspenseful episode. On the edge of my seat the whole time. Like, literally the whole time. I've never experienced an episode of anything that's had that much tension to it, that much genuine tension that you could just cut with a knife. So an amazing, amazing show. I did not expect it to be that damn good, but it was. So that's amazing. So ladies and gentlemen, I know I'm kind of all over the place, but that's how you're going to be after this show because it has had you feeling so much. You know, there were times when I thought Jaime was going to die. There's times I thought Brienne was going to die. Times I thought fucking Daenerys was going to die. Like, it was just so good all the way through. So ladies and gentlemen, I have to give this a 10 out of 10. An easy 10 out of 10. Easy. Like, I was so enraptured with this. Still am. I'm not recovered from it yet. So I'm going to watch it again at some point and maybe try to organize my thoughts a little bit. But I think, you know, my initial reaction is it was wonderful. It was absolutely amazing. So ladies and gentlemen, that's where I'm at. 10 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackowitz. Kaged Nation, out.